Hello and welcome to this next flipped preaching video. My name is Andy and this is the passage for Easter Sunday. So we're even more than usual, it feels like we're going ahead because we haven't had the rest of Holy Week yet. But anyway, we'll stick with the pattern. So the passage for Easter Sunday this year is Mark 16, 1-8. So we can have a look at the resurrection story as Mark tells it. Remember, Mark was the first gospel written, so this was the first written account of the resurrection, what happened. There's a sheet which I encourage you to print off if you have the means to, and to go through and closely look at the Bible text and also these three verses from the Old Testament, which I think are really, really interesting, from Malachi, 2 Samuel and Psalm 30. Okay, so first thing I wanted to draw out from this is the motif of the mourning. It makes it really clear that when the Sabbath was over, the three women who were present at the crucifixion went to anoint the body of Jesus. It says very early on the first day of the week when the sun had risen. It emphasizes again and again that this is early in the morning. And in the Old Testament, there's a long strain of, there's a long sort of thread of the idea that one day God will act and God will be seen like a new morning. So in Malachi 4, it says, the sun of righteousness shall rise. And sun as in the star which our planet orbits, is used as a metaphor for Jesus here. The sun of righteousness will rise with healing in its wings. In 2 Samuel, David, the last words of David were this hopeful vision. One day there would be a son who would follow on, and not Solomon, but a different son who would one day rule justly. And it says he is like the sun rising on a cloudless morning, gleaming from the rain on the grassy land. And in Psalm 30, it says, weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes with the morning. There's this idea that one day God will do something and it'll be like the morning breaking, and we get that in this passage. Mark was well aware of this and brought this really into his way of telling it. There's also a theme connected to that of newness. It says really clearly this was the first day of the week. This was the first day of the week, and a week would have brought to mind the Genesis story of the 7 days of creations. This is like a new creation, a new thing happening. There's a theme of newness running through this. When the women go to the tomb, they find that the stone has been rolled back, everything has shifted, and they're met not by Jesus but by what we presume Mark was described as an angel, and they're met by a young man dressed in a white robe. Why a young man? Perhaps that's because God is doing a new thing. This is about newness and youth and freshness. And this young man tells the women that they need to go and tell the others, and they need to go to Galilee, and Jesus will meet them there. They don't get to see Jesus in this resurrection story. But then it ends in the weirdest way. I think it's a weird way, and I think other people have agreed with me. It says they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. The end. That's how Mark's gospel ends, with the women not saying anything because they were frightened. It's a very odd ending to the book, and if you look in a paper version of the Bible, you've probably got two different alternative endings. They're sometimes called the shorter ending and the longer ending, but both of these were written a long time after the first one in an attempt to kind of give a nice happy ever after ending to it, and they're written in a very different style. They're clearly not the original author. So what happened here? Maybe the end fell off. Maybe the last few pages were lost in the history of time. Maybe it was meant to end like this, in this blunt way. If you remember, at the very start of Mark's Gospel, it says the beginning of the good news. And maybe the whole of Mark's Gospel is therefore the beginning of the good news. Maybe it was intended to be, this is just the beginning, over to you. What are you going to do? Are you going to be afraid? Are you going to tell people? Are you going to live like the sun has risen, as if something new is happening? Is this going to be your story? Is the good news going to be carried out in your life? Maybe that's what's going on. Mark's Gospel perhaps was only ever intended to be a beginning, and that's why it ends unsatisfactorily, because we're the ones who continue it on. I wonder what you think of that. So some questions which I've kind of talked about in this video. So what do you think the significance of the morning, the sun rising, is? What about all the newness? What does that mean to you? And why do you think it ended so abruptly and so negatively, in a way, with the women just being afraid to tell anyone? Why does it end like that? And why is this good news for us today? On one level, this is the definition of the good news, but why does this make a difference to your life today? How can it make you live better? Okay, well, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.